What's up, guys? Welcome to today's coffee talk. And yes, we are officially live. At least I think we are. And if you guys have been here for the week, Monday, that is, and actually last Friday, you probably noticed that I did a coffee talk, but I also had recorded that one. So I wasn't, in fact, here live, but today I am here in my office live if you are here on March 2nd, which is the day that we're doing this coffee talk. And today I am excited because we're going to be talking about something here which I think really hits on a lot of different aspects of building out a niche property, a piece of digital real estate. And really what I'm going to be talking about here is, and I'm going to be kind of explaining how this happened. Now, I'm not going to reveal the niche. Now, we do reveal the niche inside of our Niche Properties Insiders, our volume 2 of this one. But this one here, I'm just going to go over all of the things that made this happen or allowed this to happen. And that is how one niche property, a side hustle, turned into $58,000 and also over $1,270 per month in income. Okay. And I'm going to break that down and I'm going to really hit on a few different areas, like I said, because this was done on the side, part-time. This was not done as a full-time gig. And a lot of people think that you have to do this like all in. I've got to go all in. I've got to be, dedicated to this thing like 8 hours a day. And the thing is, and the truth is you don't. And that's what I love about this is because I can do this. I can set these up once I get them built. And then I really do just have to manage them. I've actually talked about that here on the podcast, on the coffee talks, and how I broke it down to where I can maintain all of this within like 3 hours a week, less than, an 8-hour day, to really do everything. And a great example of this is just this week when I got back from our little trip to Clearwater, Florida, where my daughter was in another beach volleyball tournament. We got back, but Monday I got back here probably around 1:30, 2 o'clock, and I sat down at my computer and I did the basically scheduling for my writers, and it took me less than an hour. Now I already had my keywords in their batch, or batched into my spreadsheet. I just had to assign them, and that was it. I just assigned them, and then I walked away, and so that was it. So I literally did that in under an hour. And right now, as we speak, there are content pieces that are being created and being published as we speak right now, because I've already set those things up. But with that all being said, what if you don't have a writer to do it? What if you don't want to pay a writer to do it? You can do that too. And this is a great example of that. All right. So before we get rocking and rolling, though, let me just make sure that we are, in fact, live, because I just kind of went on a little spiel there. Let me know if you guys can hear me, see me. That would be great. And then we can get this baby rocking and rolling. I do have some notes here that I want to go over. And today we are going to be talking about the one niche property side hustle that turned into $58,000. And the reason why I say that is because that person sold the niche property, the digital piece of real estate. So I'm going to give it a second here. I know we've got a little bit of a delay. All good. Scooby Life, what's up? Thank you. All right, cool. So let's go ahead and let's get rocking and rolling. All right. Oh, before I do, though, I should probably tell you that if you are interested in getting our Niche Properties Insiders, our volume 2, if you're not in BCA as of yet, the way to get access to that is to be inside of our BCA little mastermind, our academy, our tribe, as we call ourselves. It's inside of there. But if you do want access to that, you can go to brandcreators.com/BCA. Again, that's brandcreators.com/BCA. And actually, there's 2 volumes that are in there. There's volume 1 and volume 2 as of right now. And we'll be doing the third one around the second week in March. So that's coming up. All right. So let me see here. Good morning, Karen. Yes. Awesome. Thanks for the Monday for Monday. Great coffee talk. Awesome. Yeah, that was a good one. I did want to cover that one. That was like avoiding that burnout thing. which we all we can be a victim of. We don't want that to happen. All right, cool. So let's do this. Here we go. And guys, audio's okay and everything. I'm pretty sure it is. I had to reconnect everything this morning, so I always like to make sure that the audio levels and everything is good. So Scooby Life says all good. So I'm just gonna roll with it. We're gonna see what happens. All right. So here we go. What's up, guys? Welcome back to another podcast episode, another coffee talk, depending on if you are watching this or listening to this. But I am fired up today because, well, we're going to hit on a lot of different areas of this whole building niche properties for people that are thinking to themselves, I don't know if I have enough time. I don't really know if my niche is right yet. I don't know if I'm going to be able to dedicate all of the time that's necessary to do this. I'm not really sure that I want to wait that long. I'm a little bit impatient, like all of those things. If that's you listening right now, well, you're going to want to pay attention here because this one here might motivate you, inspire you, but also allow you to see what is possible, even if you are only doing this part-time. Because let's face it, my audience from back in the day of the Amazing Seller podcast, a lot of people were building Amazon businesses and e-commerce businesses. And this here, building a niche property can support that, can help that. But also it's something that if you just want to build one of these on the side and just maybe spend a couple hours a week, 2-3 hours a week, you can. And over time, that thing's going to build into a piece of digital real estate that we potentially can sell, or we can hold it just like you would a piece of rental property and earn. I always shoot for $1,000 per month on one of these niche properties, but that can be grown. Okay, that can be grown to $2,000, $5,000. I've seen them as high as $25,000, $30,000 from one of these niche properties, even if you don't have physical products, even if you don't have any other products to sell, just by leveraging an ad network. So today, what we're going to be talking about, though, and I'm going to be sharing with you, is how one niche property side hustle. Okay, that's the important one there. It's a niche property, but it was all built on the side, how it turned into $58,000. All right. One payday of $58,000 that was sold. And I'll kind of break that all down and kind of explain what that looks like. But the other thing that I didn't even put into that little title there for you was that the site is actually earning over $1,250. Yeah, that's right. $1,250 per month. Okay. Now let's kind of break this thing down. All right. And like I said, I really want to hit on the person that's listening to this that's saying, I don't have enough time. If you have, let's say that you have 3 hours a week. Okay. 3 hours a week is all that you would need in order to build one of these. All right. Now, let me ask you this also. If you were able to put in 3 hours a week, okay, and let's just say that you were going to just invest your time, no money at this point, really, other than the startup, which is going to be under $100 to build the thing, and you're going to write the content yourself, but you were going to be able to devote 3 hours a week. And honestly, once you get this thing up and running, and if you had a writer do it, you paid them a little bit, you can probably spend less than that, maybe an hour per week. But you're able to get this thing up to making over $1,250 or $1,250 per month passively. And you can then turn around and sell that thing for $58,000. Would you be willing to do that? It's kind of like the stock market. Like people are always like, stock market is like sit and wait, right? Like put the money in and walk away. I'm not talking waiting 30 years. I'm saying, what if it was 2 years, right? What if it was 2 years to get you to that place? Would you do it? Would it be worth it for you to invest a little bit of time? Or maybe you got a little bit extra resources and you want to put a little bit more money into it and do less time, because maybe you can, like for me right now, I'm spending less than an hour per week, basically just doing some keyword research and then having my writers handle the rest. So would you be willing to do that? That's what I would love for you to answer. Now, you're not going to be able to answer me unless you're on here live. And if you're not, if you're listening to this in the podcast, you could just answer that question to yourself. Would you be willing to do it? Okay. Some people are like, no, I don't want to do that. I'm too impatient. I don't want to put money in. And a lot of people don't invest in stocks either because they don't want to wait. They don't want to wait that 20 years, 30 years out. I get it, right? But we all know that when you're sitting there at 50, 60 years old and you're like, man, I wish I would have just did that when I was in my 20s. Look where I would be now. Look what would I have had now. Well, I'm saying we don't have to wait for that. Okay. That's what this is like. So this here was a part-time side hustle for this guy. Now, this isn't one of my sites. Actually, I have a site though that is earning over that 1,200 and I have $1,294 was the actual average of this site. It was actually a little more than 1,250. All right. And I have one that is making more than that. And I could sell it for over $50,000 right now, probably closer to $65,000 right now. But this, for this guy, this was just a side hustle. Okay. Just doing this thing on the side. And so the next thing I want to point out here, and this is what he had did, was he picked something that he had some knowledge of. He had expertise in. Okay. Now that doesn't mean that you have to, by the way. It could be that you're just interested in this area, into this topic, which I just did a coaching call the other day with a gentleman who does have expertise in something, but doesn't necessarily want to do all the writing. So he's just going to kind of guide the ship, if you will. He's going to be the captain, but he's not going to do all of the stuff that needs to happen when you're sailing sailing a boat, running a boat, driving a boat, whatever it is, right? You get what I'm saying. You could be the captain that just does all of the main, coordinates and things like that. Okay. So he did have a, a direction of where he wanted to potentially build this niche property in. Okay. Now he was also thinking, and again, I'm saying because this is a site that was sold. I found this site that was being sold out there through a broker, and then I just did a deep dive on it. Okay. And that's what's inside of our Niche Properties Insiders. That's something we do every single month inside of Brand Creators Academy. Again, little shameless plug. If you're interested in joining us inside of the Academy, head on over to brandcreators.com/BCA. You can get all the details there. But what he did was what I always recommend people do, and that is think about creating a resource for that audience. Okay. For that niche. That's what we're trying to do here, is build a resource. Now, people think it has to be this elaborate resource with like all of this amazing content, which I think your content should be good, but it doesn't have to be amazing where it's like so like detailed. It needs to answer questions. If your audience is asking questions about, like say you're into growing palm trees, then there's a lot of questions about palm trees that you're probably going to need to answer. Those are questions that are going to be in your resource or basically on your website, in your niche property. Okay. And that's exactly what he did. Now, there was a couple of things that he did that later on could hurt you. But as we went through this and did a deep dive, we actually came up with a plan to diversify this and make it so it wasn't so dependent on these, articles that were created, which I'll get into that here in a second. But he created a resource for an audience answering questions. All right. Now, only did one article per week. Okay. Now, the site, when it sold, was 3 years and 10 months old. Now, I know just from looking at the reports that came out for this site that it was earning between $1,200 and like $1,750 per month. Okay. So the average was $1,294 is what my notes say here. But it had months that it did $1,500. Okay. So that was for 12 months. Now, I don't know, because I can't go back that far, if it was earning $1,000 a month the year before. I don't know that. Right. But let's just say that it wasn't. And let's say it took a year. Let's say it took 2 years to get to that level. Now, usually when you're at that point, again, if you stay consistent and you're finding the right keywords and all of this, you're putting out that content, you're going to get to making some money, whether it's $100 a month, a couple $100 a month. So you still have something that's earning right at this point. Okay. But this guy, his approach was slow and steady. And if you do the math, he had 129 articles posted when this listed for sale, like when it was being sold. If we break that down over, let's call it 4 years, that's less than one per week. It's like 34, 38, something like that. I did the math before, but I don't have it in front of me, per year. Okay. So not even one per week. Okay. So I want you to think about that when you're saying to yourself, well, I don't know if I can do this content blitz thing that Scott talks about and do 90 pieces of content in 90 days. I don't know. I can't do that. Doesn't mean you have to do that. But what I will say is if you have something and it started and you're learning the process, that's the key word there, is learning the process. A lot of people say, well, if I don't, after a year, if I don't make $1,000 per month, then it's a failure. It's not. What did you learn, number one? And what did you build? What did you build that's going to turn into something? It's like that stock, right? You put it in, you bought the stock today. And really with a stock, a lot of times it can go backwards before it goes forward, right? Well, with this, it really doesn't do that. It's either going to grow, might go down a little bit, but it's going to go back up and usually back down, then back up. It's kind of like the stock market, but I see it as there's more upside. Okay. And it's a faster road to doing that. Now, I'm not saying don't invest in, IRA and doing any of that stuff. No, I'm not saying that at all. Like I'm a fan of that as well. What I am saying is it's a lot shorter of a distance, even if you're slow at posting content or not doing it as frequently. Okay. But I would like to say that being consistent is huge, right? Even if you only commit to one article per week. Imagine that after a year, you've got 52 pieces of content. The next year you have 104 and so on, right? That's how it can build. And over time, you are going to see that some content is going to perform better than others. That's exactly what happened here, which also leads me to talk about the issue with this site. Okay. And as if I was buying the site, what would make me a little nervous. Okay. And I'll go into that here in a second. But let me also just say that this site was doing, the time that it sold, 60,000 website visitors per month. Okay. It was running Mediavine. Okay. Mediavine is an ad network. It's one of the premium ad networks. And it was, again, generating between $1,200 and let's call it $1,700 per month. Okay. And it sold for over $58,000. Okay. Now, this guy could have just held that thing and said, you know what? I'm going to just keep the $1,200 coming in, just like a rent check. Okay. Every single month, just have that thing coming in. Right. Cool thing is, though, is he just wanted to, and we don't know why, right? He just wanted to sell it, and he got a nice, maybe he wanted to pay for his kids' college tuition. Maybe that was it. He was going to build this thing, and then after 4 years, he was going to sell it. That's a great idea, by the way, too. It's a great idea. You build something like this and you get it up to $1,000, $2,000 per month, and you sell it and you put your kids through college. That's another option. All right. So, but he could have held it. But if it was me, and that's why we did this whole analysis on this site and we broke it all down in our Niche Properties Insider, is the one thing that was concerning to me was there was 4 articles on this site that were getting a bulk of the traffic. And that's something that we look at if we were ever to buy a site. Because once you have over 100 articles on your site, you then can look at the data. You can start to see, oh my gosh, there's some of these articles that are doing pretty well. Well, guess what? There was one of these articles that we found that we could create so many other pieces of content around this vein, okay, this keyword vein. And that's exactly what we did in our blueprint. And then personally, what I would do is start going in and really creating more content in these little content clusters or these keyword veins by looking at data that's there now. And then I would want to branch out and not have this content be so dependent on these 4 different articles out of the 129. The other thing that you can do at this point, which I think is awesome, is being able to now look at those pieces of content and going, okay, where are they ranking? How old are they? They're over 6 months old. How are they ranking? Well, let's say they're ranking on page 2, and let's say that keyword, if they were to rank on page 1, could potentially get 5,000 visitors per month. And right now I'm only getting 50 visitors per month. Content's already created, but it's on page 2. My question would be, can I get that thing to page 1? And if so, how? Right? And there's various ways of looking at this and analyzing this, which I'm not going to go into here, but that's exactly what we did inside of this Niche Properties Insiders too, is we looked at it, we found some of this low-hanging fruit, and then we would just optimize it, make it a little bit better, add some backlinks to it coming from internal links, things like that, improving the content, and then trying to bump that up and immediately getting some additional traffic from content that already exists and to diversify that content that's already there driving traffic. So those are some things that we can do once we have this thing built. So a lot of people think like, well, if I right out of the gate, if I, after 6 months, if I'm not getting, 5,000 page views, then it's a failure. No, it's time to look at the content and go, okay, it's 6 months has went by. What is ranking? Where is it ranking? How can we bump some of these up a little bit and start to dial in that traffic? And then also, what can we learn that we're ranking good for and easy for? How can we create more content around that? Right. So it's kind of done in stages. Now, this guy here, it looks like he just kind of just did whatever he wanted to do once a week. He just came up with like a new thing that he wanted to talk about because he was in this niche. Okay. It wasn't really so much strategic. Okay. But we found so many different keyword veins that we would go down just by looking at the content that's already on the site and how it is performing. And that leaves clues. Right. But in the very beginning, we got to start with our basic stuff, like answering our base questions that we would want to put out there to answer for this niche. All right. So whenever you are doing this, you are going to want to look at this as like stages. And Chris Schaefer and I just talked. It's really like 90-day blocks, really, is kind of how you can look at it as far as like what to work on. And then it's like, after you've been doing it for 6 months, then we can say, okay, our next 90 days is going to be focusing on this because of the data that we got from the last 6 months, right? And that's kind of how you're going to be looking at building these out and making these even better. All right. So that's what we do whenever we're looking at one of these sites. And to me, honestly, like this is just a beautiful example of someone that was just kind of like, I think I'm going to start this thing and I'm going to start building it and we'll see what happens. Right. And here we are. He sold this thing for over $58,000, however much money that he's collected from rent, let's call it, right? Over $1,200 on average per month for, let's say, the past 24 months. Right. So, I mean, the site at the end of the day is probably going to net this guy over $100,000, most likely, which is pretty good. Not too bad. But the cool thing here is this, and this is what I like people to realize, is once you pick out your niche and once you build the structure, which is your website, then it's just a matter of keyword research and publishing content and walking away. That's really all it is. And it's being patient. And if you do that consistently, you're going to be able to look at the data that will leave clues, and then you can decide what content you should create next by what the data has said. And that's it. Like, that is the model. The other thing that you can do, which we've done this, and actually we have one site right now that's starting to really hockey stick up for growth, is we seeded a site. Basically, we wanted to, possibly go into this niche, but actually we did it as an example for our students inside of the academy. And we just basically built the site, got it up and running, put like 13 pieces of content on it, and walked away for a year. So we kind of got it seasoned. Because that's the thing. After time has gone on, the site starts to get seasoned. It starts to get a little bit more authority, becomes easier to rank for. We get data. And we did that kind of by accident. But now that's one of our strategies, that if we want to go into a niche and we don't have time, well, all we're going to do is basically buy the domain, set up our web hosting, get our theme set up, and maybe put up 10 pieces of content, and then we would walk away and shelf it, right? So you don't have to commit to this thing 8 hours a day, right? Now, would I say I'd like to see you commit at least 3 hours a week? Yeah, 3 hours a week I think it's doable for a lot of people. And I think in the beginning it might be a hair more, but then once you get everything built, then it's just a matter of keyword research and content and publishing. Like, that's it. So 3 hours a week is max. And I think we all can carve out 3 hours a week to do something like this. Now, here's the thing. You may, have something that takes off quicker, and you might get something that takes a little bit longer. But the key here is to show up consistently and publish. And that is it, and walk away. And don't look at analytics every single day. Like, that's a big one. All right. So hopefully this has inspired you and motivated you and allowed you to see, like, you don't have to commit to working 40 hours a week on this thing. Now, yes, if you can devote more time, will this go faster? It could. Absolutely could. I mean, common sense says if we put more content on the site, there's a better chance of it to rank, to have more pieces of content that could bring in traffic. Like, it makes sense, right? The more lines we have out there, the more of a chance we have of catching the fish. It's the same idea. All right. So let me just give you a little bit of a recap here. Okay. Part-timer. Okay. Side hustlers. If that's you, if you're listening, this is a great example of posting one piece of content per week consistently and it turning into something pretty awesome. Picking a niche that you have some interest in or expertise in can be a benefit, but it's not 100% necessary. But that is something that could be of benefit to you. Always thinking about creating a resource for that niche or for that audience, answering questions, and then committing to one article per week. All right. And that's it. Like, that is it in a nutshell. So once again, I hope that this has helped you. I hope this is giving you something to think about, because if you're sitting there and you're listening, you're like, man, I just don't think I have enough time, or I don't know if this thing is for me. Heck, for 3 hours a week or less with very little startup, you could be building something that turns into a piece of digital real estate that pays you month after month after month, and is also building a nice little asset that can be sold if you choose to. Okay. And that's totally up to you. If you're interested in getting the full Niche Properties Insiders, the volume 2 of this one, then I would definitely recommend you head on over to brandcreators.com/BCA, and you'll be able to get all the details on how you would join us in there. Every single month, we're doing these. We're doing one of these every single month on top of our live coaching calls we do bi-weekly, plus our training that you get access to in there, our private Facebook community. All of that is inside there to help and support you through this entire process. All right. So if you're interested, Niche Properties is where you're going to want to spend your time inside of that class, inside of BCA. Again, that's brandcreators.com/BCA. Our Niche Properties class is in there and all of the resources. All right. So guys, thanks so much for hanging out with me here today. I'll be back with you on Friday for a Friday jam session. If you have any questions for me, head on over to takeactioncrew.com, join the email list, and send me a question, and I'll most likely get back to you, or I'll answer it on an upcoming Friday jam session. All right, guys. So that's it. That's going to wrap it up. As always, take care, take action, have an awesome, amazing day, and I'll see you right back here on the next episode. Now, let's get them. Cut. All right, guys. You got any quick questions for me about that? Let's see. Okay, Karen. Yes, you do have a question. How important is it to link a blog to other blogs internally? Do you put links to products in your blogs too? And the answer is yes. I'll answer both of these questions, but the answer is yes. You want to link internally to any of your other articles that are related. And that is a given. There is a tool out there. It's not necessary. It does make it easier. It's called Link Whisperer by Spencer Hawes. And what that allows you to do is, inside of WordPress, is it will make recommendations. So you don't have to go find the content to link to, because it will suggest content by combing through your site, and it makes it just a lot easier. The other thing that you can do, a little bit more advanced here, and we talk about this inside of BCA, is where you would look at some of your pages that are already getting good links coming to them. And then you would see if there was any links that you could point from that post, because that link juice coming from that post will then be transferred over to some of these other posts that could help drive them up in rankings. So it's important to do that for a couple of different reasons. Number one, if you have an internal link that's coming from another post on your site that has some links coming to it, it takes some of that link juice and transfers it over. The other reason is if you have something that would benefit the reader and it's something on your site, they're not going to know how to get there. So you would link it from that post over to the other post. If you were talking about, growing palm trees, and you talked also about why it's important that in the winter you want to use burlap to wrap the trunk of the palm tree, you may have a post on that you would want to link over to more about how to care for a palm tree in the winter. It makes sense, right? And that's what you want to do regardless. What that also does is it keeps people on your site longer, which will send a signal to the algorithm in Google that people are enjoying your content, and then they will potentially rank you higher for that. So that's the reasons on doing that interlinking stuff. And do you put links to products in your blogs? Absolutely. If there's a product there that makes sense, we definitely want to link to products, whether they're ours or someone else's. And if we're an affiliate for them, then yes. Now, we don't want to make it a pitch fest, but we do, if we mention a product, we want to highlight that product and then link it over, because people are trained to see that, oh, that is a blue link, or that's a different link color, and they hover over it, they're going to click on it because maybe they want to see that product that you're talking about, or you mention it. Like I might have said, like, yeah, there's a certain fabric that you would want to use for, for covering your palm tree in the winter. It's a 100% organic palm tree, blanket. Then, and you would highlight all of that, and it would go over to that product that you're mentioning, that you're talking about, right? It wouldn't be like, if you want to go buy one of these, go here. It doesn't have to be so direct. So hopefully that makes sense. So I think that was it. I think that was all of the questions that we had on this. So awesome. All right. Well, guys, that's going to wrap up our Wednesday. I didn't even know what today was, to be honest with you. We just got back on late Monday afternoon. And then yesterday was our full day back home, but I was actually at a volleyball practice with my daughter for most of the day too. And today was our first full day back home. So here we are. All right. So we did it. We got our Wednesday coffee talk done. And I think it was pretty good. So, all right, that's it, guys. Have an awesome day. I will see you soon. And if you're interested in Brand Creators Academy, like I said, brandcreators.com/BCA. You can get all the details over there. All right, guys, have an awesome day. I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.